I still remember the night it all started. A blackout in the middle of a fancy restaurant downtown. People screamed, glasses shattered, the piano cut off mid-note. And in that confusion, I felt someone's arms around me. Strong, steady, warm. A voice whispered, "I've missed you." For a second, I froze. Because nobody ever held me like that. Nobody ever said words that soft to me. But when the lights flickered back on, we both realized it was a mistake. He wasn't looking for me. He was looking for the woman who was supposed to be on his arm. That man was Adrian Stone, the millionaire CEO everyone in New York gossiped about, the one with a reputation colder than the skyline itself. And me? I was just Layla Brooks, a waitress barely scraping by, saving every dollar for my mom's heart surgery. That hug wasn't meant for me, but in that instant the whole room changed. His fiancée Camilla stood there in her glittering gown, glaring like I'd committed some unforgivable sin. And Adrian, instead of snapping at me, he asked, "Are you all right?" His concern only made her rage harder. That was the beginning. One mistaken hug in the dark, but somehow it unraveled everything I thought I knew about my place in this world. The next day, while I was still replaying that moment in my head, Adrian walked back into the restaurant. I expected anger, maybe even a lawsuit. I mean, who hugs a billionaire by accident? But instead, he sat down at my section and asked if I wanted to grab a coffee sometime. I almost laughed in his face, thinking it was some cruel joke. "You don't need to do this out of pity," I told him. But he shook his head. "Pity? Layla, I don't think you realize you were the only real thing in that room last night." I didn't believe him. Not then. But when he insisted on covering my mom's medical bills, when he handed me that check without blinking, I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or throw it back at him. All I managed to whisper was, "Why would you do this for me?" He just smiled, faint but steady. Because sometimes people deserve a chance to breathe. From there, my world tilted. Adrian didn't just stop at helping my mom. He offered me a job at his company, Stone Enterprises. I told him I wasn't qualified, that I didn't belong in skyscrapers and boardrooms. But he looked me dead in the eye and said, "You don't need to belong in their world, Layla. Build your own inside it." So I did. Or at least I tried. Walking into that glass tower on my first day was like walking onto another planet. High heels clicking on marble men in $1,000 suits, barely glancing my way, whispers following me down the hall. "Isn't that the waitress? She must be sleeping with him." I swallowed every rumor, every side-eye, and reminded myself why I was there, because someone finally believed I could be. Adrian didn't make it easier. No, he made it worse sometimes, calling me into meetings, asking my opinion in front of executives who'd been in the business 20 years. I could feel their jaws tighten, their smiles turn sharp. But Adrian, he listened. Every word I said he treated like it mattered. And for the first time, I started to believe maybe it did. It wasn't long before Camilla struck back. She called me the charity case at a gala loud enough for the whole table to hear. I wanted to disappear under the carpet, but Adrian put his arm around me and said, "Better a charity case than a heartless fraud." Gasps rippled across the room. Camilla's face turned red. I thought she'd slap me then and there, but she just hissed, "This isn't over," and she was right. It wasn't. The tabloids came first. Photos of me leaving Adrian's office, late headlines screaming, "Waitress climbs the ladder the easy way." Then came the whispers in the company, louder, now more cutting. I'd walk into rooms and conversations would stop cold. People didn't see me as capable, they saw me as decoration. One night, I told Adrian I was done, that I couldn't be his puppet for gossip columns. I need to prove I'm more than this, I said, tears burning in my throat. He didn't argue. He just nodded and let me go. So I threw myself into work. I begged for the Patterson account, the one nobody wanted, because it was doomed to fail. I stayed up nights rewriting proposals, learning every number, every flaw in their system. When the day came to pitch, I walked into that room shaking but determined. And when Patterson's CEO leaned back and said, "You just saved my company," I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was winning. Word spread. Clients started asking for me by name. Colleagues who once sneered now leaned in for advice. And Adrian, he watched from a distance, letting me carve my own path. But success comes with choices. A firm in Los Angeles called, offering me a position that would triple my salary. For the first time, I had leverage, power. I stood at the edge of everything I thought I wanted. But when I looked out the window at the city, all I could think about was the night of the blackout, the arms around me, the voice whispering like I mattered. I didn't want power if it meant losing that. So I found Adrian. He was on the balcony of his penthouse city lights, painting his face in gold and shadow. "I can't leave," I told him. Not because I'm afraid, not because I don't think I can make it on my own, but because I don't want to. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in his eyes. "Layla, are you saying yes?" My voice cracked, but I meant it. "I love you." He didn't hesitate. He dropped to one knee, right there, no diamond, no speech, just raw truth. "Then stay. Not as my employee, as my partner, as my wife." We faced battles after that. His parents, who called me a passing phase, Camilla, who tried to drag me back into scandal, the world which never let me forget I started as a waitress. But every time Adrian stood by me, and when words weren't enough, I fought back myself. At one fundraiser, Camilla sneered, "Tell me, Layla, do you even know which fork to use?" I smiled sweetly, raised the microphone, and told the crowd about our new scholarship fund for kids who never get to sit at these tables. The applause drowned out her laugh. We married under the elm trees in Central Park, simple and quiet. I didn't need chandeliers or silk gowns. I just needed the man who once hugged me by mistake and changed my life forever. Today, I walk through Stone Enterprises not as a shadow, not as a rumor, but as co-founder of the Second Chances Initiative, helping people like me find their place in rooms they were never meant to enter. And sometimes when I see my reflection in those glass walls, I barely recognize the girl who once thought she didn't belong anywhere. Funny, isn't it? How one blackout, one mistake can light up an entire life. But here's the thing. I still wonder, and maybe you can tell me, do you believe love can really be born out of a mistake? Or was it fate all along? Drop your thoughts below, because I promise you, this is the kind of story people argue about forever. And if you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been told you don't belong, remember this. Sometimes the wrong hug is the right beginning.